I'm sure you already know because you obviously clicked with your mouse or tapped with your finger. This is United We Stand, Divided We podcast. I'm Lionel from Toronto, Canada, and I've got obviously, oops, wrong way.
I am Robert from Nashville, Tennessee, US of A. What's up, everybody?
Yeah. So what are we going to be discussing today?
Oh, there's a few little non-Trump topics. I'm done talking about Trump right now. I'm sure maybe later we'll have some more stuff, but I'm tired of his crap.
Right.
So couple AI things real quick. Gemini has really got their foot on the gas with Google has got their foot on the gas with Gemini. And apparently, and I didn't realize, you said you knew this, I did not know this, that deep research was not available on the iPhone until now. They've recently rolled it out to iPhone.
Right. However, the thing about deep research is I'm pretty sure you still have to be, you have to pay for. So for a lot of Googlers who are used to this stuff, people use Pixel phones, Samsungs, and stuff like that, especially business people, have a tendency to actually pay for Google One, right? Which gives them the AI, or if they do pay it, or they could, if they don't, they can pay for the AI package, right? And get the higher end of it, the pro package, basically. So they would have to do that in order to get that. But yeah, it wasn't even available on the iPhone until, what is it, a week or two ago? I can't remember.
Yeah, this
exactly.
article I read was the 12th. So yeah, just right at a week.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I haven't bothered telling my dad about it because he's not going to pay. He's not going to pay to use it. although if he were to say to me, you know, I really need to know some more stuff about that, I'm not sure where to look, I would put it in and send him the file afterwards. So he's still got that advantage.
Yeah, and it is only to Gemini Advanced subscribers. So that is,
yeah, that's what I was trying to say. But
yeah,
you know, it's Monday. I know it's not, but that's how it feels in my brain. So we've had a blizzard after blizzard, but we'll get into that, you know, another time.
And we got a whopping 2.5 inches, 3 inches max last night.
We're at close to 5 feet of snow so far, just in the last 3 snowfalls. So
yeah, that's insane.
And that's back to back to back. So
yeah,
I keep freezing here. Is that just on my end, or are you seeing that too?
I haven't noticed any freezings.
Oh, maybe you weren't looking.
It's really cold outside. I was freezing when I went out to dinner.
So it's back onto the AI. We're getting a little off the topic here. Back onto the AI. There's a lot of people that are putting out their articles and some videos, and they're talking a lot about all the different AI models, and of course they're talking about the I wish I can remember the name of some of them. I should have wrote this down. Not even ChatGPT, but some of these other ones that have been popping up lately, and they're doing their comparisons, and they're giving some pretty decent prompts that are pretty relatively clear. But what I'm finding interesting is that almost all of them are saying that Gemini is finishing second or third between 3 almost every time, sometimes even out of the running between 3 or 4. And it doesn't make any sense to me because I use it all the time, and I've tried it with, you know, against ChatGPT, which is pretty good. It's actually very good, but the biggest thing with Gemini, and this is with any AI, and I'm going to say this to everybody, you really need to remember this. Just because you give it the first prompt, expecting it to be extremely fast with something that's more detailed, and then not over talk it, means you're not actually trying to learn. You just want to know the answer right now. If you need to do the research, it means you're supposed to be learning about it. Now, I froze there. Did you see that? Or was that just on my end?
Again, I'm looking at the camera though, but I'm not looking
at
staring at you on my screen. Okay. I can just do like this if you want.
Well, it doesn't do it every time, you know, every second. But anyways, the bottom line is, well, not the bottom line, but what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't. Oh my God, I've lost my train of thought because of the freezing, and not the snow either. What was I saying again?
Your brain is frozen.
Yeah, but what was I saying? Because it was.
Well,
It's
you were just talking about the different AI models
Right.
and how people were saying that the Gemini was finishing second, third,
Right,
fourth.
right. So the thing about Gemini again is, and this goes for using any AI model, really, at least the better ones, is you can be more refined in your prompt, and once it's finished, you can say, "Can you dumb that down for me? Can you make that more complicated? Can you add this? Can you make it bullet points? Can you write it out in a form that I can easily study because I need to do I need an exam on it in my university course or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I need to be able to do this for a presentation at work. So I need to have as much detail as possible, but include bullet points at the end of each section. And nobody thinks about that, or nobody ever tells anybody that they can do that. And what I like about Gemini is because you have deep research option available to you in the advanced, is you can give it instructions like that. And even after it's finished, you can read it and then say, can we go back and say, can you redo this, but
Right.
include this or exclude that, or be more detailed, or be more, what's the word I'm looking for when you, little less detailed? I'm trying to find the right word. What?
You're like broad, like you're
No, not broad necessarily, but just less, not as much, in depth kind of thing. And you can give it all of these instructions, and what it puts together is absolutely mind blowing. How fast you can learn stuff. I asked it if it could help me learn about math, and I've always been terrible at math. And just going through some stuff with Gemini over the last couple of weeks, I've actually started to learn some things that for some reason I never learned in school, or at least never retained anyways. But that's the thing. I don't think Gemini loses in any category in that department, because you can always tell it, and no one ever thinks to do that. That was my point. No one ever thinks to actually say, oh, I gave it these instructions, because all they're thinking about is that their readers and listeners just want to know, how fast can I get it to tell me about calculus?
Yeah, but see, to me, speed is not I could care less about necessarily speed. It's going to be fast enough. Yeah. I'd rather make sure that it's more accurate and give me the correct information than it is fast. So it doesn't really matter to me.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's basically it. And you can do this test for yourself if you have access to at least 2 or more of these at home. Just give it a prompt, and if you think one seems better than the other, is it something that you are an expert at? If not, then you should get it to be more detailed and tell it that you want to learn. Do it for both of them and see which one you can learn from more. Maybe they're both the same, but they teach it differently. It's like having two different professors in a university, or 2 different teachers in a high school. One teaches differently than the other, but it doesn't necessarily mean one's better than the other. One just might be better for you than the other.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, it's, like you said, ChatGPT is great. And, I know that we talked about Claude a while back. I haven't really done much, with it. I haven't really tested it, with anything. So I don't really know, again, it doesn't have access to live information, like it can't research. Like, for example, you can't ask it what the score of the US beating Canada was, but we'll get into that, I'm sure, in a minute. Yeah. So I think people need to check up on their expectations, and I really think that's part of the problem, is when you go into something with a high level of expectation of X, Y, or Z, and those things are not met, then all of a sudden you get in your head like, oh, this is not working right. And it's not really,
right.
I mean, we're just getting into the toddler phase of AI. We're still early on in this whole thing.
Honestly, I don't think we're in toddler phase at this point. I think we're actually in the what do they call it? Past the terrible 2s into what I've always called the threatening 3s, because everybody talks about terrible 2s, but when your kid is 3, that's when they start saying, shut up. because they've heard you say it.
It's all terrible.
Yeah. Anyways, having said that, the ones I'm seeing compared more often, not Claude, but the last couple of weeks are Perplexity and Grok. And depending on who you talk to or what article you read, half of them say Grok is better and half of them say Perplexity is better. Both of them claim to be, well, not claim to be, sorry. The people doing the articles are claiming that both of these are at least on par with or better than ChatGPT and Gemini. I might have my doubts because there's a lot of reasons why. With everybody doing all of their research on all this stuff, it's really ChatGPT and Gemini that basically have been doing this the absolute longest and have the biggest amount of data to gather from, especially Gemini. But ChatGPT has actually had their working model going longer, so they've had that advantage.
I've used Grok, and it's actually really good. And I
believe you. Yeah, I do believe you. But again, there's just certain things that it will never be able to do because it's never gonna be built into anything.
Sorry,
even ChatGPT is.
Fit.
Yeah,
I'm touching the mute button, so hopefully.
And before anybody says, "Oh, ChatGPT is," well, it technically is because it's being used very heavily by Apple and by Microsoft, and of course, Gemini is on Google, and all of these platforms have access to all of them, including ChatGPT and Perplexity and everything. I haven't yet tried Perplexity.
I haven't either.
I'm probably gonna give it a shot so I can actually. I don't know. I haven't gone into that yet. It's just that they show the examples, but they don't actually give you the raw data that they got back. And that's the biggest gripe I have with these articles is they say, oh, this is what this said and this is what this did, but they didn't answer this much and they didn't do it like that. But they give you these tiny little screenshots that you can't see on a phone. You can probably see it on a computer, but there's no context to it. And if you're asking for a one-page readout of your prompt and then judging each of these AI, services by a one-page readout of something as complex as something scientific in any field, that's not fair. That's not how you do science in the first place. And you got to do more than one. You need to pick at least a few different. Well, I mean, they do, but then you got to do each one of them a few times with a slightly different prompt, and asking it to do more and asking it to do less. And that's how you scientifically do it. So if anybody has access to all those, try it for yourself. Come back and check it. Put it in the comments. Say, listen, I tried Glock. Depending on where you live, you might have a Glock on you. But I tried Grok and I tried Perplexity and I tried, ChatGPT and Gemini, and I put them all in there and I did the same prompts, and then I changed the prompt and I asked it to do this and that. And here are my results. Stick it down and tell us what you don't have to stick the whole thing if you don't want, but tell us what you think. If you've only tried two of them, tell us which one you like better. I'd be interested to know, because again, what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you.
So I looked it up, and it doesn't really say, like, it looks like Perplexity is their own company.
Okay. Fair enough. Do we know what country? Or at least region of the world?
No, I'd have to. I think I'd have to sign in and actually, because it's trying to prompt me to download the app. It does have like a.
Oh well, you know what? If they have a website, it's actually not that difficult.
I'm just looking at that right there, but
okay. Here's what I'm thinking. Right, they got a website, so you can just go into the. Oh my goodness, I haven't done this in a long time. The website where it just tells you who owns it. But they'll say where the registration is originally, right? So it's easier to find out where a company's from unless they've got a bunch of other branches of companies or whatever, subsidiaries set up elsewhere. Get a registered separately.
So this is interesting. So it says, so they have this Perplexity Pro. What what do I get with perplexity other than
You'll
tongue
get
tied?
it there.
But it says choose to search using advanced AI models, each with its own unique strength. ChatGPT or GPT-4 Omni, Claude 3 Sonnet and Haiku, and Sonar Large 32K. So I guess maybe it is using other apps, I suppose.
Wait, what? I kind of missed that because I was looking for it on my phone.
So it says that you can use GPT-4 Omni, which is obviously a chat GPT, tool, Claude 3 Sonnet and Haiku, and Sonar Large 32K, which is consciousness and accuracy based on Llama 3.4.
Okay, so they're actually not even a bloody. They're like a cable company. Yeah. No, I'm not going to subscribe. Shut up. Ask anything. Can you talk to it live?
I don't know.
Oh, you can. Hey, can you hear me? Oh, you have to press and hold. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help?
Are you better than ChatGPT?
I aim to provide accurate, concise, and conversational answers tailored to your needs. While ChatGPT is also highly capable, our strengths may vary depending on the content.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Do you use portions of ChatGPT or any of their technology in your own system?
No, I do not use ChatGPT or its underlying technology in my system. While ChatGPT is developed by OpenAI and utilizes the GPT language models, I operate independently and empowered by Perplexity AI's proprietary systems and technologies. My design focuses on providing accurate, concise, and conversational.
But do you also have to completely, perfectly enunciate every word as if you were a robot?
Not at all. I aim to sound natural and conversational, just like talking to a real person.
Is that a real person or a real person?
This is not a real person, but rather a conversational AI.
I'm done with that.
I guess I don't know what they're talking about then about the GPT-4 Omni. I don't know what that is, and I guess I assumed that was
I think it's a service that they offer that allows their technology, their AI, to actually collaborate with other AI, basically to dig into another AI for information or for service work to be done. So obviously, in their pro version, they have some, corporate version of ChatGPT or whatever it would be called, because it's not public at that point, that they can actually access. This is basically not that much unlike what Apple is doing, to be honest with you, except that Apple doesn't actually have their own AI at all. But it's similar to Copilot that does use ChatGPT, but again, they kind of write their own stuff on top of it. So you're actually talking to something that sounds more like Cortana when it's actually not anymore, because Cortana is dead and buried.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I don't know.
She got buried next to Clippy.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, there's so many AI things. I just don't need another one. I could do Grok, I could do Gemini, I could do ChatGPT. I don't really
everybody's in it to win it, but the fact of the matter is ChatGPT is not going to go anywhere because it's always going to have something to dig into, and always having more than one is never going to be a bad thing. If you don't have at least two of something, then you're going to end up with garbage, stuff that doesn't work properly. You got to have competition. Will there be three? Probably. But for now, I can tell you right now, 10 years from now, unquestionably, ChatGPT and Gemini will be the front runners. 20 years from now, they'll be the front runners. A year from now, they'll be the front runners.
And
and that's just the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future.
ChatGPT has huge backing from Microsoft, but it's not Microsoft's product. Unlike Gemini is Google's product, and they have a shit ton of money.
Right. But yeah, ChatGPT is also getting, it will certainly will be in the future getting even more money from Apple. The biggest difference is that one of two things is going to happen. Apple is going to basically have a research team that's going to invent a new style of AI.
Yeah.
Meaning they're going to steal code from ChatGPT or whatever. But anyways, at some point that may happen. But more than likely, they'll inevitably end up offering to buy the majority stock of ChatGPT, and then 5 or 10 years later, we'll buy it out. They might have to fight Microsoft over it, but Microsoft might not give a damn and might just say, okay, well, you take yours and we'll keep a 20% stake. A 20% stake for Microsoft means they'll never have to pay for the service, right? And so they'll be fine with that.
That'll be interesting. I mean,
yeah, well, that's what Apple's done with everything else. I mean, they didn't invent the iPod. I don't give a damn what history's trying to tell people. Somebody else did, and they bought the company, the guy who was making it. Same thing goes with almost everything they did. I mean, the few exceptions are, what is that? I was going to say Windows 10. What was it? The Mac OS system thing after Jobs went back. But he did have a hand in developing, because he hired the people, put the company together, blah, 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 right? And built an operating system that he did end up, developing into the Mac system when he went back. And of course, being the co-founder of Apple, he didn't build the stuff, he didn't make the software, but that was his machine, and nonetheless, because he said he told him how he wanted it done and what he wanted it to look like. But everything else Apple's done, especially after Steve Jobs left, they basically purchased everything. Now, don't get me wrong. So is Google. YouTube wasn't invented by Google.
No, right?
Yeah. They bought that out. What was his name? I don't remember.
I don't remember, but a lot of people don't realize that YouTube started out as a dating app.
YouTube? No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
I think you're thinking of the wrong one. Should we do counterpoint? No.
Nope. Look it up.
I have looked it up, and the very first YouTube video was and he was, one of the big guys at Google, because after they bought him, they had high positions in the company, obviously. But he put his video out, and it was just him saying this, my trip to the zoo, I think it was called. And actually had nothing to do with dating whatsoever. The reason they did it was because they had, they were trying to load videos onto whatever other thing, including Google's own thing, which was, what did they call it? Just Google Videos, I think they called it. And I always had a problem, like it wouldn't work, it didn't play right. Yeah, you couldn't get the highest, quality video definition. It took forever to upload. You had to jump through hoops to do it.
Are you ready to say I'm sorry?
No, because I'm not wrong.
YouTube's origin from dating site to video giant. In 2005, on Valentine's Day, an 18-year-old named Chad Hurley registered logo, trademark, and domain name YouTube.com. The idea that users would upload videos talking about themselves, that they were looking for a partner. It started out as a dating app.
Are you getting this from Wikipedia?
Oh my God. No.
I'm asking a question. It was a simple question.
No, I'm not getting that from Wikipedia. It's a commonly known thing. Well, how you don't know it, I don't know. I'm surprised.
Well, then, if that were the case, why the hell would it be? Here I am at the Here I am at the zoo. You can bleep that out, by the way. Anyway,
because they were talking about themselves and like, hey, I need a partner, whatever.
No, I wasn't saying anything about. Listen, look, you know what? No.
You still don't believe me.
First YouTube video.
It doesn't matter what the first video is. That's not the point.
Me at the zoo. That is the first ever thing on YouTube. It's only 15 seconds long or something like that. I mean, that's all it is.
It doesn't. I don't care what the first video is. That's not how it did not start as I'm going to just start making videos. It started out telling people about yourself as a dating app. It's common knowledge.
Is there any truth to YouTube actually started out as a dating site, or is that just like false information or Mandela effect or something?
That's a common misconception. YouTube did not start out as a dating site. It was initially conceived as a platform for sharing videos of any kind. While it's true that some people might use it for dating-related content now, that wasn't its original purpose.
I promise you.
It's false information, not a Mandela effect.
It's not wrong, though. It's not wrong.
Yes,
There's wrong information on the internet all the time. We are doing a point.
It's not just from my Googling here that I've heard that. I've heard that from actual YouTube people.
Yes,
the guy that started it to be a site to share videos of themselves looking for a partner.
I'm gonna tell you a little story about something. I was one of those people who was desperately trying to find a place where I could actually upload videos. I was starting to get into the into internet and everything, and I liked it. I had a nice camera. I thought, well, I wouldn't mind being able to upload a video myself of something, the family or whatever, right? And as I was looking through this stuff, and there's Google videos on, and I like that. I didn't like it. It didn't work out very well. Other ones either cost a lot of money, or they didn't work very well, or they had like really tiny limitations and everything. And this is exactly what he was talking about. And then I found that YouTube. There were like maybe 300 freaking videos on YouTube when I first discovered it. And not a single one of them had to do with dating. And the app
founder Steve Chin tells SXSW conference that we thought dating would be the obvious choice, but internet users didn't agree.
Who?
Steve Chin, co-founder, that originally, like way back in 2005.
Hold on a second. Who is Steve Chin?
Steve Chen is a Taiwanese-American internet entrepreneur and one of the co-founders of YouTube. He was born in Taipei, Taiwan. On August.
Who is the other co-founder?
The other two co-founders of YouTube, along with Steve Chen, are Chad Hurley and Jawed Kareem.
And I mentioned Chad Hurley a minute ago. Their original conception of YouTube was a dating site.
Publicly that YouTube was originally supposed to be for dating.
Yes, Steve Chen has publicly stated that YouTube was originally conceived as a video dating site.
Thank you.
Hang on.
2016 interview at the South by Southwest conference. The initial idea was for people to upload videos of themselves, introducing themselves, and saying what they were looking for in a partner. However, they quickly realized that this wasn't going to work, and they pivoted to the general video sharing platform that YouTube is today.
So when it launched, was it at all at launch intended for dating?
Oh my God.
No. By the time YouTube actually launched, the dating.
Okay, so neither one of us is
that's
wrong,
not what
and both
I said.
of us are right.
No, I am right, and you are wrong. That's not what I said.
I'm not wrong.
You are wrong.
You said it
you
launched.
Are wrong.
Listen, you said it.
I said it was initially intended to be a dating site. I didn't say
but you insinuated that it actually started as a dating site. I said, and my words were, it never was a dating site. That's what I said.
Okay.
It was never a dating site. Right. That's what I said.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Both of us.
Let's move on from this right
No.
Both of us. We're not both right.
Yeah, we are both right because you were right about the initial intention. I was right about when it launched. What's the problem with that?
My whole point wasn't at Okay, God, never mind. Forget it. It's my point was not at launch. My point was their conception of YouTube was a dating site.
Okay.
That was my whole point. And I am correct on that. I didn't say at launch it launched as a dating site. That's not what I said. I said the conception
it didn't
of YouTube,
come off that. It didn't come off that way because it wasn't specified that heavily. Right. So when I said these exact words, listen to me. When I said these exact words, it was never a dating site. You said you're wrong. Obviously, it never was. You didn't use the word conceptualized at that point. So therefore, neither one of us is technically wrong. Okay. Because I didn't. You heard what I said, but it went past you.
See, and this is why the United States is going to kick Canada's ass again, because they have no concept of right and wrong, and your hockey team is done.
Okay, now we have a problem.
Done.
Because first of all, you're going to get your team.
All these Canadians think they're the best, and they're not.
Okay, you're going too far. You're going too far at this point. Gemini's listening to you, by the way. You've gone too far. So this is never supposed to be me against you because we're in different countries thing. That is going too far. Your team is going to get their ass kicked.
Our hockey, to get off this stupid YouTube conversation.
Well, that's fine. But you have to realize something. Your people have only been playing hockey for since
my people,
diaper people. Okay. They're like children compared to Canadians when it comes to hockey.
Your people.
We have the knowledge. We are the ones. We invented the game. This is our game. Now, if you think that you can insult Canadians, threaten to take over our country, and we're not going to come in there. What happened during the War of 1812? We burned down your dang White House.
I didn't threaten anything about taking over your country. I don't want Canada. I'm just saying.
Right. So basically, the hockey game is probably going to be the most watched hockey game in history. Likely. Probably going to outdo the Olympics. It's a huge deal. And some of it's for the wrong reasons, but the fact of the matter is a lot of people have to understand two things. One, the booing of the anthem is not a great idea, and I don't think anybody really believes that it is. I think it's kind of dumb. My dad also thinks so. He was actually kind of upset sitting back in Winnipeg listening, watching the game, and he texted me and said, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen." So it's disrespectful. I don't like it, and I understand that. But the other thing, is that Americans especially need to understand this has nothing to do with your country as a whole or the people. This is literally directed at the one person who is saying that we don't have rights as a country, and he's just going to come in here and take what he wants and make us do what he wants, while at the same time trying to talk about peace with other countries. I don't want to get into all that because we said we weren't going to. But it's if somebody came to your country or said they were going to come to your country and take your shit. Now, I know Americans think, well, nobody can do that. We're the most powerful country in the world. Just try to imagine for a second that you weren't, and someone came in and threatened your sovereignty. How would you feel about it? That's right. You'd boo their national 100%. Anthem at the next sporting event. So that's why they're doing it. It has nothing to do with anybody hating Americans, because keep in mind, there's Canadians that have traveled to Boston and they'll be there tomorrow night. Not only will they cheer for Canada, but win or lose, they'll go out and get some of Boston's fantastic food that I've heard so much about from lots of people from Boston. And they'll party with people who are in Boston, and they'll make jokes. Some of them will say, "Oh, I agree with Trump," and some of them will say, "I don't." It's just life. We all live the same life. And so... Well,
the issue, and none of the players like it either. The issue...
No, they don't.
I think it's distasteful. Mm-hmm. Whether they have the right of doing it or not, I'm not debating whether they have the right or not. Obviously, Trump has shown a lot of disrespect to Canada, 100%. But it's like a lot of things. I think people try to use that platform as a political platform and not just a, hey, I don't like this kind of thing. And that's where it kind of gets a little sticky because none of the players they're not politicians. They don't give a shit. They want to play hockey. Okay.
That's right.
They just want to play hockey.
And honestly, I want to go to a game and watch hockey, not a debate. Exactly.
So that's my issue with the booing is that it's distasteful. The last game I was at, I forget who it was we played. Was it?
It was a Canadian team, obviously.
Yeah, I think it was Ottawa.
Montreal. Oh no, Ottawa. Oh no, it was Vancouver. Right?
I don't remember. No. I don't remember. At any rate, it was a Canadian team. And obviously, people in the arena booed and, Nashville got on the news for, booing the Canadians. And I sing, I sing the Canadian anthem every time they play it. I sing it. I think it's just, to me, I show respect to the country, its neighbors, friends, whatever. And so I didn't boo. I sang the Canadian national anthem, and there's people all around me booing. I don't give a shit.
Right.
If you've ever, of course you haven't, but if you've ever seen me at a hockey game, I don't give a shit what other people think about me that are around me. I voice my opinion about my team and your team, whoever you are, not necessarily Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a very passionate fan of sports.
Right. So, and that's fine. See, that's the thing. Canadians can understand that because that's how we feel about hockey all the time. Right. But some good news out of this, though, believe it or not. I don't remember the name of the name of the team. It was either Kingston or some other town that starts with a K. I can't remember. It's southeast or southwest of Toronto, anyways. They were having one of their Western Hockey League games, which would be about at the same level as your college highest college level of hockey, where most players are drafted from. They have an arena that is way bigger than you think for such a small thing, right? And they probably got like 8,000 or something like that, people sitting in this thing, and the American national anthem comes on, and they cheer it. The Canadian national anthem comes and they cheer it. They didn't give a damn about the politics, and they cheered everything. And so that's good news. It's basically, it took these minor league fans to say, I'm not going to bite into that. I'm going to cheer everything, because that's usually how it goes. Especially if the singer's really good, then it's like, yeah, they did a good job. And by the way, the guy that sang the national anthem at that game in Montreal, where everyone booed like ridiculously loud, he sang it beautifully. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
My God, man, he was good. Very good. And it's a shame that it was it wasn't hard to hear him, because smartly enough, the broadcasters actually turned the crowd noise down a little bit, and they turned the mics up for the singer. So that was kind of nice. It was a smart move on their part.
Yeah, I don't know. People say, oh, well, that's why there was 3 fights in 9 seconds, because, well, if anybody ever goes and looks back through U.S. Canada hockey competition, whether it be Olympics, there's always a lot of contention, because the Canadians are trying to prove we're still the best. Like you said, this is our sport. We started it. The U.S. is trying to say, no, it's not. We're here now and we're the best. So there's always a lot of contention.
Right.
And that's just sports. This is not necessarily just because this group of people booed the anthem. At least I don't think so. I could be completely wrong, because obviously I don't talk to the players. But even, Canadian players that play in the NHL on a U.S. side team, like Marchand for, the Bruins. Like, I don't like Boston. I don't like Marchand, but he's like, look, I think it's wrong. I don't think you guys should be booing the American national anthem. The players have nothing to do with what's happening in politics. And he's 100% right.
Yeah.
So they don't care. They just want to play hockey. And they understand this is not a political statement. And when people try to make it a political statement, to me, is where the problem comes in, because that's not one.
Yeah.
Just play hockey. But fight, kick each other's ass. I don't give a shit. But
the three fights in the first minute. Separate fights. It's not like they all went out at the same time, just in case anybody didn't see it. It was there was a fight, and then the puck dropped, and there was another fight, and then the puck dropped, and there was another fight. And so 6 guys were in the box at the same time. 9 seconds. Yeah, it wasn't under a minute. It was 9 seconds. It took 9 seconds to get 3 fights done. And that's only because the clock winds. It doesn't stop instantaneously, and they're not going to ask them to wind the clock back at the beginning of the game, right? Obviously, you're not losing anything. But nonetheless, those fights, it's not, the Americans didn't start the fight because they were pissed off at Canadian fans, because, again, the hockey player had nothing to do with it. And the Canadians didn't pick a fight with them because they were mad at Trump. That again, had nothing to do with the hockey players. So what it simply is exactly what you said. It's a hockey game. Canada and the U.S. There's a lot of tensions, but it's not the hockey players hating each other. It's just, it was something that they felt like, okay, well, this is going to be a big thing, so let's get the crowd going right now.
Right.
And so a couple of guys said, let's do it, let's fight. And while they were fighting, 2 other guys said, you know what, when they're done, you and I can go. Okay. And then those guys were going and saying, you know what, we should go too. Yeah, that's it. These guys talk to each other before that. When you have a fight that starts at the face-off, those fights aren't because somebody hit somebody or the guy didn't like the way you checked them into the boards. Those fights happen because as they line up for the face-off, one guy says, do you want to do it? And the other guy says, yeah, okay. And so as soon as the puck drops, they drop the third
fight was just a little bit of tussle because it did happen in the crease. And they kind of got, this person didn't like the way this person did. This person
that's true
got
for
front
that
of my
one.
goaley. But the first 2 were straight up. Hey,
the first 2, the last one was more legit, but it didn't amount to as much anyways. But
they're probably down there in the circle going, hey bud, you want to do it, bud? Yeah, bud, let's go.
You do notice in the first one though, and this is the thing, it's not only do those 2 guys say this, but everyone else can hear them on the ice. The referees know. So you notice as soon as the puck dropped, not only did everybody spread apart instead of heading towards the puck to try to get control, but even the referees backed away straight, but only went so far. Normally they would back up more to let the play, develop. But this time they backed up straight instead of on an angle, and they basically stayed within about 6 feet so they could get in there if they had to. And that's how the referees knew there was going to be a fight. They may not have known about the second one, and I think at least half of the guys on the ice knew the second one. So yeah, that a lot of people. I saw one video today on YouTube. The guy was saying these fights are fake. Well, just because you agree to fight ahead of time doesn't make it a fake fight. You stand there and watch this guy punch you in the face and tell me it's fake. I don't want to be punched by one of those dudes. No. You think would Mike Tyson's punch hurt more? Maybe, but I either one of them is going to knock me on my ass, so I don't care.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be on the receiving end of any of those fists.
I've been in a hockey fight. I didn't know it until after they told me, but
that's what mine would be. But yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, there's nobody. I don't care. Maybe rugby, but in my opinion, there are no tougher athletes than hockey players. They play 80 plus games of getting their face smashed against the boards like constantly. They're on the ice, off the ice, on the ice, off the ice.
I get that. But I have to agree with you on the whole rugby thing though, because just having watched it, and honestly, I wouldn't even play it with friends in the park, because if you think football's tough, just remember there are some guys that can avoid being hit 98% of the time in football. American rules football, Canadian rules football. But when you start talking about rugby, like, oh man, like if you're playing, you have to get hit. And it starts with the scrum in the first place. You can't play rugby and not get hit. So, and when I say hit, I mean, these guys don't wear protection like, other sports. But, if you get to, it's kind of weird, a weird segue how we got into that. But I've always said this. If people say, oh, well, the hockey players are probably more physically fit than a football player, that's a ridiculous statement because football players actually wear heavier equipment, believe it or not, except for the skate part.
Yeah.
And their helmets definitely heavier for a very good reason because they do smash their heads together on purpose. But these are also often bigger guys. Not all of them, obviously. But some of them have to run a great distance. And the ones that don't still have to run a lot. But here's the other thing. I've heard people say basketball is probably the easiest. How do you figure? In basketball, there are at least a few players who never get subbed out the entire game. They play the entire game almost exclusively running back and forth. Those guys are probably in the best shape out of all professional athletes that play team sports. That is, team sports.
I disagree there. I think hockey players are. I mean,
no,
for
hockey
yourself,
players hockey players only have to skate for between 30 seconds and a minute and a half. And it's usually
you're going 200 feet, balls out, trying to get back to the puck, and when you're on the ice for 2.5 minutes,
not that
doing
hard.
That,
not that hard. I could never run up and down a court for 5 minutes straight, but I can go back and forth on the ice for an hour without taking a break.
Well,
sorry.
I've played basketball quite a bit in school. I've never spent that much time on the ice, and I can tell you that I don't see how running up and down on a court is easier than ice skates when you have
because you can glide on skates. You can't glide on sneakers. That's why.
No,
there's the reason. In order to move in basketball, you're have carrying to be moving a lot your legs.
More
you don't have to move your legs in hockey. Like you can honestly take one swipe and you're gone. You're on skates on ice.
Okay.
Basketball is
the next hockey game we watch. I want to see who takes one swipe and just glides on down.
I didn't say they're always doing that. They're obviously in great shape, and way better shape than I could ever hope to be in. But what I'm saying is they don't have to run the gauntlet. Like again, some basketball players will play the entire game without being subbed out. Hockey players don't do that, except for the goalie, who half of the game just stands there. Literally half the game.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're not in shape and they're not one of the best
case of Staros, stood there the entire game. I'm sorry, that was a low blow.
I'm not saying that basketball players are not in physically
That's
fit
okay.
shape.
You missed my joke.
No, I got it. I just chose not to acknowledge it because it's bullshit. But
I was just kidding anyways. I'm a Staros fan, just in case anybody's wondering.
The sheer number of games a hockey player has to play trumps all of them. Because even rugby is only 24 games.
Well,
so I mean, you're playing 80 some odd games as a player that if you don't get hurt, and obviously you get injured, that's different. But there's a lot of players that go all season
actually play compared to other games works out to being only about 40 games. So you've cut a bunch of that off anyways. And there's a reason that football plays a lot less games. And there's a very simple reason, because they have to constantly smack each other upside the head and clothesline each other, throw each other onto the ground really hard. So they only play so many games because there's no way they can play 40 or 70 or 80 games. Baseball plays more because they do a lot of standing around. And there's usually only 3 guys doing a move at one time in a baseball game.
I really can't believe you're calling all these hockey players a bunch of pussies. I'm man.
There isn't a single hockey player.
You guys hear all that? All you hockey players out there?
Say that. But if any of you American hockey players think that I'm calling you out, I am.
You weak
all
bitches.
Of you American hockey players, my address is, and I'm just kidding. No,
he's saying all you guys are weak bitches.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
slide down the ice. You don't have to move.
Yeah, okay. You're gonna go there. No, here's what I heard. What I heard is you saying that all of those professional basketball players were garbage and weak and pussies, and they couldn't.
No,
they
you
couldn't
can't
hold
say
your
that because I
beer.
specifically said. I agree with you that they are some of the most physically fit. I specifically said
I didn't see. You did not say that.
Yes, I did.
You did not. Roll the film back.
Yeah, we will, because I just got through saying that. I said I'm not saying that they are not some of the most physically fit players, because they are, but the sheer number of games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I still feel like a hockey player.
Well, how many games do basketball players play? Are you forgetting?
Also,
how
other than rugby, how many basketball players get in the middle of the rink or in the middle of the court and start punching their faces? It does actually happen. It's just not legal in the game. But that's not true. They get elbowed in the face. I've never seen a basketball fight. I've never seen guys get turned inside out in midair from being elbowed in the face, lose their teeth, busted jaws. Did you see that one basketball player whose leg bone came out of his leg on live television? Of course, but I've never seen two players square off in center court and go.
I've seen it. You can look it up. Look it up on YouTube.
No,
it's happened.
Never seen
it's just not legal in the game, but it's not legal in football either.
I see it 2-3 times every hockey game. So,
but that's another thing. I'd say, listen, not every hockey player does that. Only the guys who want to fight. 99% of hockey players do not fight. That's a fact.
Yeah, because like Forsberg, he's going to get his ass kicked because he's not a fighter.
I say that even knowing that Doug Evans had a fight with Wayne Gretzky back in the 80s, and that was crazy because neither one of those guys fights either. I don't think any of them won. That's how bad it was. But
I remember listen, hockey players. What are you doing?
Hockey players are obviously incredibly physically fit and incredibly tough, and some of them are strong as mules. But I'm just saying, in pure physical fitness as a whole, generally speaking, not the best players who are the most physically fit. I'm not talking about the Connor McDavids and the I was going to say Timo Solani, but he's retired. But same idea. All those the super elite players. But your average guys, they're in great shape. But nothing I can even imagine right now. But basketball players, every single guy in the court has to be in that type of shape. All of them, all the time, every game, because they're always moving. That's all I'm saying. And I've known guys who played basketball, known guys who played hockey. I've known guys who played both. And all of them will tell you this. Well, not all of the hockey players, but all the guys who played both and all the basketball players easily will tell you the same thing. It takes more energy to play basketball for an hour than it does to play hockey for an hour. I'm talking about an hour of actual playing time, not game clock time. It takes more energy, and that's a fact. That's all I'm saying. But here's the interesting thing. You will have to drink more water playing hockey than any other sport in the world. That's a fact. That's absolutely true. It's because the amount of energy that you burn quickly. Okay. But that's just the thing. You burn it quickly, you take a break. You burn it quickly, you take a break. Football, you burn it a little bit, and then you burn a lot, and then you burn a little bit, and then you burn a lot, and then you take a break. Basketball, you burn it, wait for the commercial. Burn it, wait for halftime. Right? So that's all I'm saying. That's it. It's a different kind of thing.
Because there's breaks that happen. There's things that happen during play.
Yes, there is, but it can also go back and forth a lot. You don't get a lot of chance to catch your breath. That's why a lot of coaches in basketball understand that, and they watch the players, and they can tell if they need to come off. It's not always about, we just want to get this guy another chance, or we think he's going to do better than this guy's doing. They'll sub him out because the coach can see it. In hockey, you sub out because you are told this is how much time you need to be on the ice, and the second you feel tired or the second you dump the puck, you make the change. You see your line mate go, you go with them, that kind of stuff. In football, you just leave because you're either hurt or you're out of downs. Yeah, it's the simplest way to think about it. Every sport has a nuance. That's all I'm saying. So that's my point counterpoint in that subject. Now we get, where are we at here? I don't even know. I can't see. Wait a minute. I got to put my finger in front of this.
I think we've exhausted all of our counterpoint. Crap. So yeah,
I can't see how much time we have left because this
we don't have
method I'm using here doesn't. What's that?
It's 55 minutes.
Oh well, okay. We're at wrap up time. All right. So we've talked about a few things, the AI, sports, and by the way, I have to say, of course, I'm rooting for Canada, but I can't really be upset if America wins because, my God, man, your goalie is Hellebuck, and you got Kyle Connor. How would I say any boos to that? I would love to hear the crowd cheer, even if it doesn't matter who wins. Hellebuck especially will get cheered massively for the job he's done when he gets back to Winnipeg. And that's the thing about it.
It hasn't been for the fact that all U.S. players have played their best, because they haven't. Hellebuck has been a big part of why they have gotten to the point they got. And
huge part.
I don't know what kind of injuries Canadian team is dealing with. I know that both Tkachuk players got hurt. I think Brady Tkachuk is supposed to be back. Mitch Marner got hurt, but I heard he's supposed to be back. So, there's some really key players that the U.S. had in the very beginning of all this that, like Matthew Tkachuk's out. He's not playing. Brady Tkachuk's supposed to be back.
It was the other way around. I thought Matthew was only pulled from the game as a precaution.
No, that was Brady.
I thought Brady's the one that went crashing into the net.
Brady was the one that went crashing into the net. He's the one they pulled for precautionary reasons. Matthew Tkachuk suffered some type of lower body injury, ankle or something. I don't know. But
so one of them might be back and the other one won't be.
As I've read today, it looks like Brady Tkachuk is going to be back and Marner is going to be back.
I read somewhere that they weren't happy with Marner or something like that. That was probably just somebody's opinionated, thing.
Maybe, but I mean, he definitely hasn't been quite as just like he hasn't been on, Toronto. I mean, he's not like dropping pucks in the net every. That one year he had 71 goals or something like.
Well, no, not that.
Goals.
Well, actually, it was pretty close to that, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was like 69, 70, 71. It's somewhere around there. Some insane amount of.
And he that wasn't last year. I think it was the year before, right? I don't remember, but he did. He was really good last year too. I think, but this year I don't even hear his name mentioned when I'm watching highlights.
Right, that's been part of the issue. So. Yeah,
but Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner's better. Mitch Marner's better. Well, for the last 2 years, I've heard Austin Matthews' name be mentioned by everyone outside of Toronto, never mind in Toronto. Yeah. Sounds to me like he's the one who's the superstar in the team right now.
Wait a minute. One of them, is it Matthews on the Canadian team?
You know what? I don't remember which one's which.
Maybe it's Matthews on the U.S. and it's Marner on the Canadian team. One's on one and one's on the other.
I literally don't know because I thought they were both Canadian.
No, Matthews. I think
is Austin Matthews Canadian or American?
Austin Matthews is American. He was born in San Ramon, California.
Okay, so he's the one on the U.S. team.
Mitch Marner Canadian? It's going to say yes. Yeah, he's Canadian. Yeah, so it's the other way around, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So anyway,
I was right about what I heard. It's the Canadians that were kind of saying, hey, he's not cutting the mustard.
Yeah. And Matthews ended up getting hurt, but he's supposed to be back too, so yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. It's going to be.
How are those guys going to feel about each other after? They honestly they'll shake each other's hands because they like each other. That's how hockey always is. You get these international games. One guy will go to Finland, another guy will go to America, another guy will stay with Canada. And then it's over, and they get back to the dressing room and go, "Hey man, you guys had a really good game. I really enjoyed that. Thanks, man."
Well, I think with the exception of rare instances where two players really just don't like each other.
Yeah, that
I
would
think
be
for the most
yeah.
part, it's I am gonna beat your face into the ice, but hey, bud, you want to go for a twofer after the game? Like, yeah, man, let's go. You know?
Yeah, but I can tell you this much:
like, if somebody listened to us tonight, you would think that they would think that we probably wanted to like drop the gloves and center ice, but if you were close enough, we'd go for a beer.
Yeah, straight. It's like the Jets, right? They would when oh my goodness, what's the matter with me? I can't remember his name. The defenseman from the Jets on the. Oh God, please don't tell me if he ever sees this, I'm dead.
The defenseman for the Jets that's on the US team,
right? Yeah, with the long name. The Canadian team. What's wrong with me? Morrissey. When Morrissey, once this is all over and the Jets get back to their thing, when they get to the dressing room, and Morrissey absolutely loves Kyle Connor because he can throw the puck anywhere, and Kyle Connor, well, thank you, and go score a goal, right? Or Kyle Connor will set him up for a goal himself. And of course, they both think the world of Hellebuck, obviously, as the rest of the team does. And as the entire American team now does. So yeah, that's the thing. They don't care that they're on different teams, and whoever wins, those guys are still going to shake each other's hands, give each other a hug. Whoever loses is going to congratulate the other one. Oh, yeah. Whoever wins whoever loses will be the two that congratulate the one. Morrissey. Just saying. I have spoken.
Mm-hmm. That never works.
Canada for the win, baby. Canada for the win.
Well, see, now you just ruined it for them because that never works out.
No, not that. When it comes to Canada and championships, that's when it does work out. Oh, it's just It's what we do. It's what we do. We win the big game. Good night. I don't know why you're even going to tune in.
Best of luck to you. I mean,
why are people in Boston shouldn't even bother showing up? They're not going to be happy.
Right.
Like, don't even go.
Right.
Just leave the 3,000 Canadian fans to their devices and let them enjoy, the crushing.
Yeah. If it were the Predators playing, that would be true, but that's not accurate.
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. And I tell you this much: if the U.S. wins, I will give probably 90% of the credit to Hellebuck because he will be the reason.
Probably.
The Canadian team is extremely determined and has a lot of firepower. So, and they're going to be mad serious. They did not play the first two games they played were garbage. The first one especially.
Yeah, right? I watched them. They were sloppy. They played sloppy.
They did. Sure. They did. They got better against the Americans, but it wasn't good enough. But when they got to that third game, they were like, I think we're starting to gel now. That's unfortunately been a common theme with the last 3 times Canada's played any international stuff, Olympics and whatever else they did, where they didn't have enough time to gel together. The Americans, I don't know how they did it. I think it comes down to coaching. I guarantee it. But they just had them practice a certain way. Say, you guys need to go out for dinner and get to know each other and talk about what you like to do, study each other's tapes, whatever it is you need to do. And it's worked because the American team has looked very, very, very good. They look like an NHL club.
Right out of the gate. Coach for the American team, and you know how he coaches.
Who?
So Tortorella.
Who? Really? That guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Well, he's a good coach. I just can't believe that they don't want to kill him.
Not Paul Maurice. What's the guy's name? Cooper.
They should have hired Maurice. What?
That Cooper from Tampa Bay. He's the one that's coaching the Canadian team.
Oh, interesting.
You don't know that?
No. Normally I would know that, but I don't know because I never knew. Because I don't know what it is. I mean, normally I don't know. It's just I don't even know anything about this guy. I really don't. It's funny because all the previous coaches for Canada over the years have been like the coach of all coaches that is coached at that time, So it's kind of, is Paul Maurice American?
I don't know, but he's not coaching.
I know. I'm just wondering though, because
I have no idea.
Is Paul Maurice American or Canadian? I keep asking Gemini stuff.
Paul Maurice is Canadian.
He's Canadian. Why in the hell isn't he coaching for Canada? Jesus.
I don't know. I wonder. John Cooper.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper?
Ask it if John Cooper is Canadian.
Wait, you don't have Gemini? Is John Cooper Canadian?
Yes, John Cooper is Canadian.
Yeah, I guess the fact that
Who
he's
is
won,
he?
what, 3 Stanley Cups?
John Cooper is a Canadian-American professional ice hockey coach. He is the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning in the National.
Wow, Canadian American. Whoa, what did that say? Wait a minute. I was about to turn that off, and then I noticed it said something that caught my eye. Oh, I thought it said something about Winnipeg. It said winning. Winning back-to-back Stanley Cup, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it specifically says he's a Canadian American. So in reality, he qualified to coach either team.
I guess.
And,
I don't know why they chose Tortorella. That to me was a really odd.
it turns out it's working.
He's well, I mean, you know how he coaches. I mean, you've seen him in the league. He's a no shit kind of guy, and players either love him or hate him. And
well, nobody loves him, but yeah,
I don't know. I've seen like when he went to Columbus, man, they all rallied behind him like hardcore. They're like, yeah, we love Torrance.
Well, that's because he threatened to take their families. I'm kidding, people. This is a joke. Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was
I think the Americans should have used the Predators coach.
The who?
Preds.
That's what I thought. Mm.
I was kidding, obviously. And this time I'm not going to take it back. I'm sorry. I think the Preds need a new coach. But we can go on that another time because I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we're out of time.
So we'll get some more stuff. Obviously, next week we're probably going to be talking about who's going to be bragging about the hockey rights. But aside from that, I guarantee you there's going to be more AI news by then. And incidentally, we didn't mention one thing because it's still a ways off, but Google I/O has a date, and I just don't remember it. So next week we'll get into that and talk about what we think they might be talking about. And we know what they're going to be talking about. A lot of Gemini and a lot of Pixel 10. And hopefully there's some new Samsung news by the time we come back on, because I'm hearing there's a lot of phones that aren't being updated yet. So
you mean like the 24 series or something?
24, 23, 22, 21, 20. Apparently they just haven't updated anything.
I don't know it's going back to the 20 though.
Well, I know. I just kept going with numbers because it sounded,
Samsung 1, Samsung 5.
the Nexus, the Google Nexus.
Yeah, way back when. So.
Nexus, yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for now. I'm Robert from Nashville in the U.S.
And I am Lionel from the winning country of the hockey tournament after tomorrow. But I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.